now that we're getting a better look at her, I really like her design. Oh, this is the dude. Dang, talk about one hell of an entrance. Okay. Oh my god! That hand is gone. That is unusable now. Holy crap. Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to our first ever review video on the channel. And today we are going to be reviewing none other than the highly requested The Eminence in Shadow. So this whole review thing is all very new, and I'm sure you guys have a couple of questions, so I'll try to answer some of them before we get into the actual reaction. And basically, I've been wanting to incorporate reviews into the channel for quite a long time, but I never really knew exactly how I wanted to do it, because I didn't want to get rid of reactions completely and replace them with reviews, but I also didn't want to have reactions and reviews for the same series, because I thought it'd be a bit redundant. Like, if I react to the first episode of My Hero and then I upload a review of the first episode of My Hero, it wouldn't really make much sense. So the way this is going to work out going forward is every single season I'll hand pick a couple of anime that I'm going to add into my schedule and react to as per usual, like I've always done. But on the side, I will also be having a couple of side project anime where you guys can request anime for me to check out. I will be reacting to those anime, uploading reviews of those onto YouTube, and then for any of you guys that would like to see more, that would like to see the reaction for these series, you can find them on my Patreon, which you guys can join for only $2. And also, when it comes to reviews, I'm probably not going to be reviewing every single episode unless every single episode is amazing. Really, my intentions going into this is just to review the episodes that really stand out to me, that are really thought-provoking or have really cool scenes that happen within them. And this review isn't just going to be me sitting down and talking to you guys just one-on-one. I'm also going to have a couple of visual aids and stuff on the screen, maybe some clips of cool scenes and moments, just so that you guys have a better idea of what part of the episode I'm talking about specifically. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this review. So going into this, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be giving you guys my honest thoughts on The Eminence in Shadow. And I must admit, going into this, I had very high expectations just because a ton of you guys have been recommending this series to me, and the ratings for this series are pretty high up there. So I went into this with high expectations, and those expectations were still blown completely out of the water, because I knew it was going to be good, but I still had no idea what it was about or how it was going to be good. So finding out that this series is actually an isekai, which I didn't expect at all, but also seeing them execute this transition from living a normal life into being transported to this new life, I thought it was phenomenal. Because normally you're just given an isekai story where you have an average guy, average appearance, not very many friends, dies in a very average way, and then he is transported to this new exciting life. But this time, you have a character that's pretty extraordinary, very highly trained for his age. He's going around fighting crime. He's been dabbling in a bunch of different martial arts, but that wasn't enough for him. That wasn't enough to fulfill his desire to become a hero. And so now that he's been transported to this new world with new magical powers, now he is finally able to become the hero he's always dreamed of. And I thought that idea was so cool, man. I absolutely loved it, and I definitely think a lot of people that aren't really big fans of isekai are going to be big fans of this series. But anyways, let's break this episode down step by step. First, we're going to go into the plot, then we're going to go into the characters. So just to give you guys a bit of a brief summary, this episode starts off with us kind of following the day-to-day life of a girl that's not any ordinary girl. She's actually a celebrity. Everyone in her school loves her. She lives in a very wealthy home, very wealthy family, and her objective is to try to, I guess, make friends with everyone, to kind of get everyone to love her. But there was one person in particular that she just couldn't wrap her head around, that she just couldn't really understand. He behaved very outside of the norm, and she just couldn't really get a gauge as to like what kind of person he was. And so we see this girl, she's about to head home. She calls her, I guess, butler or whatever, who usually escorts her to and from school, and he doesn't pick up, so she has to go and walk home on her own. And while walking home, she ends up getting ambushed by a couple of thugs, and these thugs, they tie her up, bring her into this abandoned warehouse, and their goal is to try to hold her hostage and send a ransom note to her parents, because they know that she comes from a wealthy family, so maybe they can make a couple bucks after capturing her. But it turns out things aren't going to play out as smoothly as they had thought, because this random masked vigilante comes smashing through the warehouse roof, and he immediately proceeds to smash each of their faces in. The first guy, he was kind of more of your typical scumbag thug. Like, even though they had already captured her and they were already sending the ransom note, he wanted to try to milk this situation for all that it was worth. He started getting a little too touchy-feely. Meanwhile, the other thug was much more business-oriented. Like, okay, we got her, she's tied up, I just want my money so we can get out of here and move on with our lives. But now that this vigilante's here, neither of them are gonna get what they want. The first guy is handled easily with the swiftness. He's not very skilled, he's just kind of your typical ruffian. But the other guy, he's an ex-military soldier, so he's got some skills, and he was so confident, he even dropped his gun. He was like, I don't need this. All I need is my knife and my hands. That's all I need going into this. And so he was fighting against the vigilante, and he was doing pretty well holding his own, until the vigilante whips out his signature weapons, which are the crowbars. And these crowbars put in a hell of a lot of work, let me tell you. He like smashed his wrist, smashed his kneecaps in. Like, these guys got absolutely destroyed by one guy, and we'll get into these characters more specifically once we get to the character section. But after this, he cuts the girl free. The thugs are laying there knocked out, unconscious. Then the cops and everyone rolls in, they clean up the situation, and then the girl, the next day at school, she approaches the guy again, and the guy is now like looking at her, because before he wasn't even looking in her direction. He couldn't even remember her name. Now he called her out by name. He even smiled at her, looked in her direction, and she thought like, wow, okay, maybe I'm actually, starting to, or maybe this guy is actually starting to warm up to me. And then suddenly, bam, the episode, right after introducing you to this cool, amazing character, they kill him off. You find out in the news that he got hit by a truck on his way home from school, and this immediately caught me by surprise. Now, my theory going into this was that he wasn't actually dead. Maybe he faked his death just so he could distance himself from the girl so she wouldn't find out his true identity, but it turns out he is really dead. And then we get into the more isekai elements of this series, which is really cool, but we will touch on that more in this next segment, which is going to be the character segment. So the first character that we meet of this entire episode is a girl named Nishino, and first thing I want to say right off rip is I love Nishino's like art design. It is so cool, and I love her hair specifically because it looks like neat and tidy at one angle but also messy at the other angle. Like, she has 20 different hairstyles all bound into one. She has like the braids on the side, she has the like wild unkempt hair in the front, she has the ponytail in the back. It looks like an absolute mess, but I love it because it's something I've never really seen before. And so Nishino As I already explained earlier, she comes from a very wealthy family. She's a celebrity. She's been so occupied with different, I guess, business opportunities that she's kind of lagging behind a bit when it comes to schoolwork. And initially, I thought she was going to be the protagonist because she's the character that we were following pretty much the entire episode. But apparently, a long time ago when she was younger, there was this scandal involving a stalker, and it was implied that this stalker got a bit too touchy-feely, but they never really went into details, so we don't know how far he actually got. We don't know if the cops got there before he could do anything terrible. We have no idea. But it seemed like that situation was about to repeat itself with these new thugs that got a hold of her, but luckily the vigilante was able to come in and save her. And then after this, we don't really see too much of Nishino. We see her come to school the next day, and she talks to the next character, which we will now be focusing on, who goes by the name of Kageno. Now let me tell you about my boy Kageno, because he seems like he's going to be a really cool protagonist, and it turns out that he is the actual protagonist of this series. So Kageno, at least from what was explained at the end of the episode, it seems like ever since he was a kid, much like you and me, he absolutely loved superheroes. He wanted to become a superhero himself. But the difference between him and us is that most of us have kind of grown out of that dream. We've realized, like, okay, it's kind of impossible to be a superhero, so we're gonna have to go in some other direction. But with him, he stuck with it, and ever since he was a kid, he's trained in various different martial arts. We see kendo, karate, boxing, what looks like Muay Thai. So this guy is very highly skilled when it comes to martial arts. And even at school, we catch scenes of him with this little like grip training device, and before he enters the warehouse, we see he has these like ankle weights on that he takes off before he goes inside. And it turns out that he's using all of this training to become somewhat of a like vigilante, his own hero that enacts his own justice. And so he broke into the warehouse, smashed these guys up, and his signature weapon is a crowbar. And he talks about just how dangerous and effective these crowbars are. But I think the funniest part of the episode was when the villains mention, or either he mentions, that he normally goes around kind of smacking up members of biker gangs, and so they established this entirely new dress code where the biker gang members started wearing helmets again just so that he wouldn't smash their heads in. Like, they had to implement a whole new dress code just for this vigilante guy, which I thought was so funny. But then Kageno starts to delve more into his dream of being a hero, and he explains that one thing that's really frustrating to him is that there's kind of, no matter how much he trains, even if he became the like heavyweight world champion in boxing or just became the pinnacle of martial arts, he's still a human at the end of the day. And if something drastic were to happen, like a nuclear bomb were to drop, then, or a car were to come and hit him, he's still human, so there's nothing he can really do to stop that. And I thought that was such an amazing setup for the second half of the episode, which was him being isekai'd, because before he was really frustrated with the fact that he was human and there was limits to what he could do. But now that he died and he was reborn into this new world with new abilities, there's magic, there's a ton of different like species and creatures and stuff. So now he finally has the power to become the hero that he's always wanted to be. I thought that was so cool. And we see him going from being this lone vigilante to now being like the leader of this organization called the Eminence in Shadow. And we see a ton of different people that are like working under him, fighting alongside him. Clearly he's come a long way, and my only hope going into this next episode is that we get to see Kageno kind of climb up to that position that he's in right now. So like we see the beginning when he's first transported to this world. We see him build this organization from the ground up instead of them just throwing us into the like present where like he already has all of these things established, because I really want to see how the heck he makes this possible, especially when he's never been in this world before. This is all new to him. So how the heck did he get to this point? How did he become so powerful? That's what I really want to know going into this next episode. But I absolutely loved it. And my honest thoughts, just to kind of summarize everything, is I love the fact that this is an isekai, because normally when people hear of a new isekai coming out this season, they're like, oh, okay, this is the 30th one this season, so I guess I'll check it out. But I feel like this one kind of executed the whole isekai idea much better than a lot of other isekai out there. So I have very high hopes for this series, and I cannot wait to watch more. But if you guys enjoyed this review, make sure to leave a like and let me know what you guys think about this. Because again, just as this is new to you, this is new to me. So let me know if there's anything you guys think I should change about my reviews, things that I should add, and let me know if you want me to continue reviewing this series, because I had a lot of fun reacting to it, reviewing it, and even though I probably won't be uploading reviews to every single episode, I will be posting reactions to every single episode over on Patreon. So make sure you guys head over there and check it out if that interests you. But with that, I'm going to head out. Thank you all so much for watching this far into the video, and I will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one.